necessarily be in the regular meeting. So we're going to go on and we're going to talk to Kitty and the Friends of the Fiscalini Ranch. Kitty, take away.
All righty. Well, I kind of naively thought there'd be an end to removing invasive plants, at least seasonally, but that has not happened. So the volunteers have been removing kikuyu grass from around the boardwalk and lupins, cutting, well, they're not invasive, but cutting back lupins on the bluff trail so that you can actually pass. They removed a bunch of ice plant on the bluff trail, which has now been hauled off the ranch. Worked on, now working, a lot of the work is shifting to trails. So on one of the steeper trails called the Ravine Trail, the volunteers tried to prepare it for rain, should that happen. So they were working on erosion control features on there. And there are a lot of secondary trails that people cut on the ranch. So the work this week is focusing on closing those off so that there's not just, it's not just all trails. So we can maintain the official trails. But the big, and the final bench is going up. It's mostly constructed right now out on the hill above the Marine Terrace, one of the hills above, slopes above the Marine Terrace. It should be done probably within a week or two. So that'll be the final bench on the West Ranch. But the big news is on the Saturday after Thanksgiving, we had a planting with about 70 people there, planted about 350 Monterey pine seedlings, all grown from seed from the site. My thanks to CSD for their support in this and all of our other projects. But it was really fun. It was also reassuring how you can keep a great distance from other people on the ranch and still get things done. One of the nice things about planting the trees is that they're 10 to 30 feet apart from each other. So that creates a natural social distancing. Everyone wore masks. It seemed like a very good event. And I think people were grateful to be able to get out and do something positive together in public. That's my report. Any questions?
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. Thank you. Appreciate it, Kitty. I'm sure questions will come up in the course of our day. That takes us to facilities and resources. Carlos, is that you?
Yo, Carlos.
That is me, but I think you have public comment before.
Oh, yeah, nice call. Sorry, brother. We're going to go to public comment first. You're right. Thank you. Anybody in the docket there, Osana?
I'm checking right now. And so far I hadn't had anything.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, because
Nope.
Anybody? No?
You're good.
Okay, we're going to move on. Facilities and resources. Carlos, now you.
Give me just 1 second while I turn something off here. There we go. Nice to see everybody. Hope everybody had a nice Thanksgiving. It's been a little while since I've given a full report, I think a couple of months, so bear with me. I'll show you some pictures and just let you know what we've been up to. And I think I have two reports that I'd like to provide for you. So the first report is just some activities that I have going on at the department. And let me see if I can share that with you. There, can you see those pictures?
Yes.
All right, good. So in the last couple of months, we've been doing quite a bit of work at the Veterans Hall. As you can see on these pictures, we've taken out a couple of very large dead Monterey pine trees We also submitted some permits to be able to remove several cypress trees from the area, and we've also pruned some of the trees and at the vet hall as well. Once the trees were removed, we rented a stump grinder and grinded down all of the stumps. The work was done by Davy Tree Service. They did that for free on a large pine tree. And then the rest of the work was done by West Coast Tree Service and also CCSD staff.
Oh, wow.
We've continued to do quite a bit of maintenance at the vet hall. As you can see in the picture, we've ended up restriping the entire parking lot, all the white stripes, all the handicap stripes, all the red no parking lines, and all of the bumper stops were all painted by CCSD staff. We also wanted to make some improvements inside the vet hall since we haven't had really much activity inside since COVID started back in March. So you see CCSD staff working on the stage on the pictures. We ended up cleaning all the walls, patching all the walls, retexturing all the walls inside there, and then repainting everything.
Looks good.
Yeah.
As Kitty mentioned, there's been a lot of activity out on the ranch with removing ice plant, and you can see on the pictures, you know, a lot of ice plant has been removed by volunteers. You also see in the middle picture the truck with a tractor. That's a contractor loading up all the ice plant and being hauled off. All of that work, not my work, that's all volunteer work. That's all Kitty volunteers pulling it, and also the friends paying for the contractor to remove the ice plant. We also have a brand new bench out on the ranch. Again, not my project. This is all Walt Andrews, one of the, you know, better known volunteers that we have on the ranch. Kudos to him. He designed the bench that you see on the left-hand side top. It's almost finished. There's just a little wooden slab that needs to be placed on there. But it's a fantastic bench, great view. Come out and see if you can find the bench and enjoy it. Over the past month, CCSD staff has been extremely busy out on the ranch and other properties doing tree work. We have removed, cut, chipped, hauled away 40 dead trees on Fiscalina Ranch and other CCSD properties. And you see on the pictures there, CCSD staff cutting down the trees, chipping the trees, and then hauling away the large rounds.
Are those 40 trees?
40 trees, yes,
40.
40.
Okay, thank you.
We also had a request from the fire department as they have new members in the department that just started and don't have a lot of chainsaw experience. They requested some of our assistance for them to come out on the ranch and get some chainsaw practice. Of course, we have, you know, plenty of dead trees for them to come out and practice on. So you see on the pictures about, you know, half a day's worth of work with them utilizing chainsaws and dropping smaller trees and just getting some good practice there. As Kitty mentioned, we also had our annual tree planting, and you can see in the middle picture, Kitty, you know, holding the directions on how to plant trees, and Carmen, one of the FFRP board members there, instructing the folks coming out on how to plant trees. It was overall a great event. Everybody, I think, had a good time. Kitty mentioned over 350 pine trees got planted there. We've also been working on other properties. Specifically, this picture shows us working on the pocket park on Center Street. We ended up spending about a half a day there, cleaning up the area, trimming back the brush and the willows, and just making it look a little more presentable there. And this last picture that you see here is the trash can recycle planter boxes that you see on Main Street. We're working with Beautify Cambria at the moment. They received a grant to spruce up those planters. So we've brought 2 of them down to the shop. They hired a contractor to sand, restain them, and then we'll move them back onto Main Street. And then Beautify Cambria and volunteers are going to replant and re-spruce the planters at the top. So that'll be an ongoing project, for at least several months. That's one of my reports. I'm happy to answer any questions on that if you have any.
Just a comment, the pictures were great. Thank you for showing that. That really makes a better illustration of what you've done. Looks good.
Thank you, Kermit. Appreciate it.
Anybody else? Stan, go ahead.
Just a little bit.
All right. Any other
All right.
questions for Carlos? Do you want to give the other report?
Yeah. I'll give
Go ahead.
the other report. I'll try to be brief. Every year, every 6 months, I make my usual homeless situation report, and I'll try to be brief on it. I'm not going to talk about mental health or drug addiction or a solution to homelessness. Just to give you an overview only of the impacts and also, the amount of issues that we're dealing out in the field with homeless. And, I sort of wanted just to give you maybe a little timeline of sorts of, how it's progressed throughout the years. Let's see if I can find this one here. Let's see. There we go. So just to give you a little time frame, the homeless situation has really sort of ticked up in the last 4 or 5 years. And about 2015, 2016, we were finding maybe just a handful of encampments on the ranch. Not very many, as you can see here, encampments on Fiscalini Ranch and CCSD owned properties. In 2016, 2017, that number steadily increased. You can see here, we're working with the Land Conservancy on cleaning up CCSD owned lots below Ramsey. We're utilizing prison crews that were available to us to be able to help us clean all those properties. But then in 2018, we were noticing that we were having a lot more activity on CCSD owned properties and on Fiscalini Ranch. At the end of 2018 and 2019, we spent an incredible amount of time going through and really mapping out where all of these encampments were. And you can see on the map, a picture of, every little star isn't just one camp, it's just a location of, could be one or could be several camps. But throughout the year 2019, we were able to map about 60 homeless encampments on CCSD properties and Fiscalini Ranch. And, these are the pictures that I've shown before about what those encampments look like. Some were occupied, some were abandoned. It took a year-long process, multi-agency process, multi-phase process to be able to evict, clean, and rehab all of these sites. So if you go out there, all of those sites that you see, the 60 plus homeless encampments were cleaned up at the end of last year. So we move on to this year. We saw a little uptick of homelessness encampments. This is a map of February of this year of CCSD lots and Fiscalini Ranch. Again, these are the pictures of what those encampments look like. Some small, some large. And again, it was an effort to evict, to clean, and to rehab, all those areas. This is a picture of September 2020, and we ended up with just most of the encampments on one section of the ranch and CCSD owned properties. That's what the encampments looked like a few months ago. Again, we were able to evict and clean all these sites. And this is what we have now, which is the encampment that you see across from Cambria Drive and Highway 1. It's the only encampment that we have been able to find on CCSD properties as of an inspection last week. These are the pictures of the encampment there across Cambria Drive and Highway 1. Just from a visual walkthrough of the site, we have somewhere in the 7 to 10 large homeless encampments, and we're still trying to figure out how many people are there. We're estimating somewhere in the 6 to 10 people, and we're working on trying to find a solution to evict the people there and to clean up the site. So we're working with the county and law enforcement right now to come up with a plan on doing that. I just also want to say that homeless encampments aren't just an issue on Fiscalini Ranch and open space properties. We're actually finding and seeing homeless encampments on other properties that CCSD owns. You can see in the picture here, we're finding encampments on parks, parking lots, bridges. The pictures on the top are from the Pocket Park. And just this year, 2020, we've cleaned up that camp twice.
Wow.
The only reason the only reason I'm sharing with you these pictures is I know that, as far as PROS is concerned, we're not going to find a solution to homelessness. The reason I'm sharing the pictures with you is so you're aware of what's going on out there. So you're aware of what the resources that are being utilized to deal with this issue are. And, you're looking at very limited resources of one very small department with myself and 2 staff members and a limited budget to be able to deal with. At this point, I think by the end of the year, once we clean up the encampments on Cambria Drive, we're probably going to be hitting close to 100 encampments in 2 years that we have cleaned up. So the resources that are being spent to inspect, to work with the homeless, to clean up the sites is an incredible effort that is sucking a lot of resources out from other activities that obviously are important as well. As far as pros, I think my sharing of these pictures and the report is more for you to maybe think about as we're doing goals, as we're doing projects, as we're making suggestions to the board, that those suggestions and those projects also have a thought behind the limited resources that we have, and maybe solutions or long-term maintenance plans for those projects that we're thinking about. Just one last thought, and that is the treatment of homeless folks out there. So our legal counsel provided to us, a couple of years back, a procedure to evict, homeless folks from our property. That process includes, posting notices, bringing out the sheriff, taking people's belongings and storing them and allowing them to come by and pick up those belongings. Out of the close to 80 encampments now that we've cleaned up, I think I've only used that process 3 times. My approach has always been to be respectful and be human about the process. I've always thought that, if you have a conversation with people, if you treat them with respect, if you acknowledge them, if you take the time to listen to them, they're going to respond more favorably than if we
Yeah.
come out there with, a heavy hand. So that has been my approach to the whole process. I've never let myself think that people are a burden or a nuisance. I think once we start thinking about people as that, I think we've lost the fight on that. So that's been my approach to try to treat people as kindly as possible, even though I have a responsibility to oversee the resources that the community has. So that's my report. I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Carlos, have you had any problems with personal property? You described it a little bit, but have you ever, in a big stack of stuff, when you haul it away, does anyone charge you with destroying their personal property? I know this is a big deal in the cities where they have to be respectful and they contain them down to a certain amount of stuff they can carry away. But have you ever had anybody complain about your taking their stuff?
Yeah, as I mentioned, we've only utilized the heavy-handed procedure, just a couple of times. Most of the time, it's talking to the individual and providing them with the resource of a trash bin and giving them plenty of time for themselves to, get rid of the stuff that they don't want. Then we make multiple visits, and at the last visit, we make sure that what they're leaving behind is something they don't want, that is stuff that is basically going in the dumpster. So to answer your question, I've never had anybody come to me and complain that we've taken their personal belongings. We wouldn't do that. We try to work with the individual to make sure that what they're leaving behind is actual trash.
Yeah. And another question, if I could, the toilet and the dumpster thing seemed like a pretty good idea, and it did attract some, I'm sure, because it was useful and necessary to them for personal, a lot of reasons. But it seemed to concentrate them in that area, which is not all that bad. It could be used as kind of a magnet, because you're always going to have some homeless people, and they're going to end up somewhere in the system. So did you think that worked as pretty good as kind of a minimalization process, like having a target that people went down to the toilet, place with the toilet and the dumpster as kind of a better place to be, so they didn't get scattered out to a wider range? Do you think it concentrated the people? I mean, I think it's somewhat of a good thing in some ways, a bad thing in others. What do you feel about that?
So obviously it's a double-edged sword. Back in March, April, May, I forget what time frame that was, once COVID hit, and we ended up closing down the public restrooms, and most everything was shut down. There was some concern about hygiene and how we're going to be able to help the homeless. And there was discussions of there's quite a bit of homelessness, or at least there's a good amount of homeless in that area. And the thought was, well, let's try to see if we can help them during COVID to at least keep some hygiene. So we were able to work with Mission Country and Harvey's Honey Huts to provide them with a trash dumpster, porta potty, and hand washing station. It has been very beneficial for the homeless there. They've been able to utilize the dumpster. They've been able to utilize, the porta potty and the hand washing station. And speaking to them, they're grateful for the dumpster particularly. So that is always a good thing. The double-edged sword is that now that there are services there, as you mentioned, it has attracted more people. The encampments there have tripled in size since March. And, you know, it might be that as homeless folks come about, they might get the assumption that we're allowing them to be there. And so more will come because there's services there. Again, I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
A question. Carlos, does the county or the state of California provide any resources for what you're doing?
So the resources are as thin as can be everywhere. We're not the only ones dealing with homeless and cleanups. The city of Paso has invested an incredible amount of money and time cleaning riverbeds. San Luis just did a huge cleanup. Lompoc is doing a lot of cleanup as well. And you see every community having to deal with this issue. The county, you know, I'm attending the county-wide homeless meetings, and I'm hearing, you know, that every community right now, Los Osos, is being hit hard by, you know, homeless issues up there. So there's a lot of resources being diverted that way to help them out with that. The reality is, you know, this issue is not going to go away, and I think it's only going to get worse. Personally, just hearing what's going on around the county and around the state, you know, especially with the pandemic, I think we're going to see more homeless folks start to pop up. So to answer your question, we're reaching out to the county for help. I'm reaching out to the sheriff's department as well for assistance, and we're trying to find as much help as we can.
Thanks, Carlos. That was a good report. Appreciate it.
Carlos, first of all, thank you very much for doing what you're doing. And I think you've got the right attitude for it. Perhaps the Land Conservancy could be approached for a grant or something. If you hear of any grants that could be done to help us, I think the Pros Commission could be proactive in trying to make sure those grants get in there. We're accepting a lot of properties from the Land Conservancy, and they do have some resources. And if they can help us help them, that would be great. Also, the board and the Pros Commission and the general manager should continue to inform the public that water and sewer rates does not support Parks and Recreation. The only thing is we don't have a taxing authority really. We do get some resources from property taxes, but not enough, and we can't get enough. So if people know that the only way to support this is through either taxing ourselves more with some kind of a measure, or trying to get grants, and the fact that since we got the ranch, even though we inherited hundreds of acres, the CCSD did contribute hundreds of thousands of dollars to purchase it. And yet now we have to maintain it, and we don't have the resources to do so. If it wasn't for the Friends, we'd be in much worse shape. But somehow, Steve, maybe when you give a report, you make sure that, you know, the good work that Carlos is doing is really unfunded, and we need to come up with a way to help him.
Are you referring specifically to his homeless encampment efforts, or
Well,
just
that's one.
all of it?
Well, that's one, but also the fact that we have a ranch that we never had funding to support. And Carlos is not only doing homeless, but he's doing ranch maintenance and property maintenance was never budgeted for.
Yeah.
So it's a problem that the people that pay the rates thinks that the rates support this, but they don't. The water and sewer rates have to be used only for water and sewer. You can't take some of it and give it to Carlos. We need to find a way to get Carlos's or Parks and Recreation to be funded at a higher level.
Gotcha.
Whatever men.
Now I hear you. I didn't know what you were getting at, but now I do. I'll make that point when I make my presentation on Thursday.
Thank you.
You gotcha.
Steve, I have a question.
Go ahead.
I'll just I'll just echo one thing from Jim, because he did mention it, and that's the assistance from the Friends. And like you said, I have no idea where we'd be without the Friends. With all the fundraising and all the volunteers and all the man hours and all the help that they provide, yeah, we'd be in bad shape if it wasn't for the Friends.
I have
Thank you.
one more question,
Herman?
Carlos. The issue of the toilet, what happens with the homeless, is going to apply to our toilet that we put down there as far as management. And then I'm talking about it, if we put in sinks, they're going to be used. And if we put in outside water faucets or any kind of facility outside and operational hours. So knowing kind of what all this stuff is a magnet for, what do you suggest we leave out in that toilet that we normally would put in the city? Would you leave a sink in, or would you just lock everything indoors at a certain time? Would you leave something outside like a sink and a water faucet if you close it at 8 o'clock or dusk? What do you suggest that how we tailor our facilities of our future toilet in relation to this homeless issue? Closure, or leave out some things and leave it open? What do you suggest?
Well, I think my first thought is I don't think we can design a public facility to not service people, and we can't exclude the homeless from utilizing a building. My first suggestion is, as much as we've done on the other restrooms, which has been effective for vandalism and just general issues, is to close them down at about 8 o'clock. Once you leave a building open after dark, that's when people go in and start vandalizing and doing stuff that they shouldn't. So far that has been very effective on the other public restrooms that we have, is closing them down at a certain point.
Hey, I don't want to kill this conversation, but if we're going to talk about the restrooms, we've got the update on the agenda. So I think we can go over some of that there.
Okay.
Anybody
Can
else? Dan,
I
what do you
ask
got?
one question? Yeah, I just have one question. Is it at all possible, and I guess maybe John Weigel could weigh in on this, what would be the process for trying a GoFundMe to help augment some of the budget for Carlos for what he's doing?
That's a great question. Don't know the answer to that. Yeah, I'd have to investigate that.
Would you please? Because I'll tell you, my son organized a GoFundMe in San Francisco for a business that was it's going to go bust, and it was like a cultural site in the Tenderloin that he didn't want to have shuttered, and so he started a GoFundMe and raised, God, I think $195,000 to help keep that business open. And so I know it's possible. One of the things you got to do is you have to find people that are excited about helping out with land conservation and, the ranch maintenance and dealing with the expenditures that we have that aren't budgeted. And maybe we could do that. But we need to know what the legality would be, I think, before we start.
Go ahead, Jim.
Jim.
If it's okay, I think the problem is us in a way. I remember John and Steve saying, gee, we should have a nonprofit. We should have a 501c3 and have that help fund parks and recreation. And we just kind of let it die. And I think that might be the vehicle to make it happen outside of the Friends. So,
Well, I would say we are an existing 501c3 who do raise money for the projects. And if we raised enough money and I'm saying this without talking to my board, to offset more of the forest projects, then that would leave more money for the rest of PRO's budget. And that's my goal, is to work towards being a larger contributor to the maintenance.
I agree from a maintenance perspective, but as far as the homeless and land conservancy, other land conservancy type people, and just the general public wanting to put something into Parks and Recreation,
Yeah.
they might make a contribution to Parks and Recreation 501c3 because they know it's not going to go to John's salary or something. So it's people reform such a thing. Steve, have you looked into it?
No, we've been on COVID lockdown.
Okay.
Jesus. Yeah, the whole thing got gutted. We were sitting right on top of that. Remember? We were
Yeah.
going to do the vets hall and all of it. So, yeah.
Okay.
No, I haven't, you know.
Okay.
We,
So what's the next step? Maybe we can get somebody to help us.
somebody larger and smarter than I. There was a whole group in that room, and I was definitely on the bottom of the list of ability to accomplish that goal. The Lions was there, the Rotary was there, the Legion was there was churches there. You
Was it
know,
Mel McCulloch, was he there? Maybe.
Mel was there.
One other thing, you know, we're Cambria, we have a tremendous number of tourists. And I know they're enjoying themselves and we're enjoying themselves. And somehow it seems like we ought to be able to tap into some of that in order to give us some finances to our Parks and Recreation. I don't know how you do it. Probably would require bringing our representative or I guess for the county and maybe even the state representative or whatever to start discussing this stuff, because this is happening for most of the communities like ours.
Yeah. I think it's a great idea to look at for 2021 as some kind of an objective to try to, I don't think we can solve our budgetary problems, but at least we can help Carlos out.
Yeah, we're getting close to needing a parks department.
Yeah.
Yeah. And all right, so let's move on and get into the consent agenda. Can I get a move to approve the minutes from November?
I still move.
Kermit moves. Do I get a second from Adolph? All in favor, say aye.
Hey, Steve.
Aye. All right,
Steve,
minutes passed.
Steve,
Hey, Steve, I just have a quick correction on the minutes.
Uh-oh, go ahead.
And maybe General Manager Weigel can correct me on it. So number B on the minutes, it says that, let's see here, CCSD received a grant of $120,000 for a generator for the Vets Hall. I think it's just we have applied. I don't think we have received the grant.
Okay, thank you.
That'd be correct.
All right,
That's it.
Carlos reads the minutes. That's a good one. Okay, so now we've got meeting dates. Has anybody looked at the meeting dates, and do we have a problem with any of the meeting dates for 2021?
I think they're fine.
Yeah, even I'm not looking at them right now. The only questions are normally that Tuesday in November, if that means anything on an election. But if it does, we can change it as we get closer. So can I get a motion to accept the meeting dates for the upcoming year?
I move that we accept the meeting date.
Joyce says yes. Kermit says yes on the second. All in favor, say aye.
Uh,
Aye.
Aye.
All right, those are the meeting dates. Now we're talking about the commissioners and the alternate vacancies in the application process, which we deal with all the time, and it still confuses me. But I'm very happy that we have alternative members, so I don't want to change that. Jim, do you have a question on that?
No. I think I've only been on for 2 years. I think my position was replacing somebody that left or something. I don't know. So when I was looking at the bylaws, it says a 4-year term, but yet apparently I'm up in December. Does anybody have a detail on that?
Well, I think the one that's in question now to me is Terry Lord. I think everyone else is serving out their term, I believe.
Actually, according to the minutes, there are 2 people that are up, and I don't have the minutes in front of me, but
I think I am too.
yeah.
So the 2 people that are up is Stanley Cooper. His term as alternate expired in October, and then Jim's alternate term expires next month.
I would be willing, Steve, if it's a pleasure of the board to fill in for Terry as a regular until she comes back, until we're over this COVID thing, because she hasn't showed up for quite a while.
And I'd continue being an alternate or whatever, whatever you need. I don't seem to be going anywhere.
So Haley, how are you reading our responsibilities right now?
You mean for the alternate members?
Yeah, so we have to replace the alternate members, and do we do that on our own, or do we send that to the big board?
So you guys should be sending a recommendation to the board to extend their appointments. So your
Okay.
bylaws aren't, doesn't really cover the alternate appointments. It talks
Yeah.
a lot about the 5 members with full voting privileges, but it doesn't really cover alternates. But in the past, what you guys did was you would move to approve a recommendation to the board to extend the alternate positions, and then it will go to the board for approval by resolution.
I move
Okay.
that we extend the alternates and present that to the board.
Do I have a second for that?
Though I guess I was up in October, but I'll still second it.
All right, I'm gonna say Adolph. Adolph, give me a second. There you go.
I'll give you a
Adolph
second.
seconds. All in favor of
All right.
extending the terms of the alternate members, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Anything else we need to do with that, Haley?
That is it, and we will try to get it on the January agenda for the
Okay.
board to review and approve.
Okay, perfect.
Cool.
Thank you. Let me get rid of that. That takes us into an update on the skate park. All right, Carlos, you want to give us a little something, or Mr. Weigold, do you have something? Oops, Carlos, Mr. Weigold.
So we are moving ahead with the skate park. Our next step is to get a contract with a designer. So we're working on that with our legal counsel. And then we'll have, we already have a proposal from a designer and builder, but this is just for the design part. And they'll do some renderings and some other engineering work and come up with costs for the whole project.
Okay. Carlos,
Yep.
do you have anything?
Yeah, I'll add a little bit more. So I met with Julie and Shara yesterday. Had a good conversation with them. They have a lot of passion. They've done a lot of great work. Kudos to them and all the kids for all the fundraising that they've been doing. And we met as well with Spoil Ranch a couple of weeks back. Aaron, I believe is his name. I forget what his last name is. He's the representative for Spoil Ranch. They built quite a bit of skate parks in the past, and if Shara or Julie want to chime in on that, they provided us with an estimate on doing a conceptual plan of the skate park. It's not the actual design build portion. It's just the conceptual plan. The conceptual plan is basically the starting point for the project, where they will bring in community input, the kids, members, pros. They'll take their ideas, they'll put them together in paper, they'll go to the county with those ideas. They'll ask the county what we need from, or what they're going to require from us if we want to build the park. And then when it's all said and done, we should have a good idea, good presentation of what the skate park is going to look like, with all of the permitting requirements that we're going to need, with an actual estimate of what the cost is going to be for the skate park. That estimate is $14,000 for them to do that work. It's well within the budgeted amount that PROS has for the project. As you recall, the board allocated $17,000 to help with the skate park rebuild, so that's well within budget. And as General Manager Weigold mentioned, we'll be working with legal counsel to go forward with, trying to do a contract.
2,000?
I'm sorry, Joyce, I couldn't hear you.
2,000?
So the estimate for the work is $14,000.
Okay, but you're going into the county with 14,000, or is that what the estimate is that we're going to ask?
No, this is the estimate from Spohn Ranch
Okay,
for the conceptual plan
for the conceptual plan, okay.
of the project.
What is the name of the organization that's doing it? Who is the organization in charge of making
Here.
the conceptual plan?
Let me see here. There.
Okay. I got
There's
it. Yes.
Spohn Ranch Skate Parks.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Carlos. Got it.
That's their estimate, 14 grand.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Maybe John and Carlos, maybe this is the wrong thing to say, but I'm gonna throw out the idea anyway. The schoolhouse is being rented to a nonprofit, and so the CCSD owns the property, but they've leased it to the nonprofit. So now the nonprofit doesn't have to pay wages. They don't have to go through. They aren't bound like the CCSD is bound by, bidding and all that other kind of stuff. Perhaps an idea is to lease the land to the skate park people, so that they don't have to pay competitive wages. They don't have to jump through all of the hoops of a design build. CCSD can't do a design build, but maybe that private group can do a design build and get around it. I'm just throwing it out there, and maybe you can check with legal counsel to see.
Yeah, Jim, I actually already did that with legal counsel, and because we own the land, we're bound to subscribe to all those regulations. Yeah, we tried that, but great idea.
All right.
Yeah. Any other ideas? So I'm all ears.
Okay, thanks.
And so then my only question would be as to the grant and how the $177,000 grant is going.
So really no more progress on that, because we have to come up with a design and identify a contractor and have a signed agreement before we can apply.
Okay, but that's what we're doing with Spawn Ranch, right?
Well, that's just for an initial design. We'd have to go then forward with a final design, bid it out, find a contractor, contract with the contractor, then we apply for the grant.
So that's still on the radar?
Correct.
Yeah, all right, because I'm pushing for that, right? I'm like, I don't want to miss that $177,000. And the way I'm feeling right now, the skate park is the project we're going to use for that, because that bathroom is a long ways away, because we don't even know if we can have water on it. And if we can only do a pit toilet, we don't need the $177,000. So I'm gonna be pushing hard for the skate park to get that money unless somebody else has got another idea. And I've been told through a good source that the skate park is starting to develop quite a little pot of money. So once they get their money together, they're gonna be a player. So that being said, I wanna just make sure that we're all pushing forward for this particular item. One of the things that has been told to me that's important, both I think to Carlos and the skate park people, is like we've done with the bathroom people with Jim and Kermit. They would kind of like a little ad hoc group, two of you that we could put forth to say, hey, this is what's going on with the skate park. Does anybody disagree with that? Right, because I've kind of been dealing with the skate park people and I would really like it to be two of you guys so that you guys know what's going on, you know, so it's not just me. Stan, would you be into it?
Well, okay.
You'll like the people that you're dealing with.
I've talked to the mom who's kind of the lightning rod
Yeah,
of the group. So
they won't bug you.
good,
Their efficiency will make you happy.
good.
Yeah. Joyce,
Good.
do you want to get in that?
Sure, why not?
All right, so I'm going to, because I believe it's within my power to appoint Joyce and Stan as a little pseudo ad hoc committee to work with the skate park people to keep us informed as to that progress. Carlos, are you comfortable with that?
Very comfortable. Thank you.
Okay. We're gonna go with that, but Kermit, there's been a request for you to pay particularly close attention to the skate park because the group is comfortable with your knowledge. So will you do that for us?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure what status that is, but sure.
Well, just,
Those around. Yeah, I'll do
yeah,
that.
you know, your expertise is valued.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Okay, let's take some questions from the audience.
The
That's
first
us.
member of the public that wishes to speak is Julie. Julie, please unmute yourself.
Good morning. It's so good to see everyone. Thank you so much for letting us have a little bit more time on the agenda in regards to the skate park. As Carlos had mentioned, we had a fantastic meeting yesterday. We appreciate your time, Carlos. Shara and I were able to kind of get him up to speed as he has been out, and we've got him in front of us now. I know John had mentioned where things were at in regards to this particular proposal that's been put in front of him. So we're just very anxious to obviously get that piece started. I just want to clarify to all of the Pros Commission that the land we are talking about with the design work is the Main Street location. So we have flushed that out. It is definitely Main Street. The proposal is specific to that location. And again, the 14,000 is within the allocated funds that were awarded to us to be able to use. I would like to share with the group at this time, we have $100,000 in flush cash. And thank you, Kermit. This is a serious group and it's a passion project and we are doing everything we can. We've expressed that to Carlos. We'll be handling those donations that have come in the next week or two. They'll be made public announcements, but we want to make sure that we are being very gracious to those funds that have come in and how those individuals would like to be recognized. But yes, I think that is a very fair amount as a talking point to be able to say it's real. It's extremely real. And I hope you all can look at that number and go, yeah, these guys are doing what they're supposed to be doing. We're going to continue to fundraise, but we obviously would love that proposal done in the next week or two. We realistically would like to see dirt moved by April and this park built by the fall. I've had multiple conversations with Aaron and his designer, Adam. Parks can be built in 4 months. And our next hurdle beyond this proposal is design, bid, build versus design, build. Mr. Weigel, I know you're extremely adamant about a design, bid, build. I'm still challenging that. I think that we'd be more than happy to pay for legal counsel's time. And Carlos actually expressed to me, Mr. Carmel is on retainer, so our payment wouldn't be necessary. But I do think it's worth a conversation with our initiative, as well as Aaron Spahn himself, who has done these projects in other areas, including Oildale, which is a very similar type of district to your water district, as design builds. It's tremendous cost, and it's going to slow this project down. And I'm sorry, but I'm not taking the first answer of this is our only way we can do it, when there are other ways to do it, and that's money for the park. So I'm going to ask very kindly and graciously again that we refer to this project to experts who have done it in other places in this state successfully, legally, with finding a way to manage this code that's been placed in front of us by legal counsel. So the reason I'm on the call this morning is specifically to talk about design build and how we can go back to council on that. And I'm going to pros commission specifically right now to say, I would like the opportunity for this discussion to take place, because I feel like not only, again, is it going to sieve a tremendous amount of cash that could be going straight to the park, but it's going to slow this process down a lot, months and months. And please correct me on that in any way, Mr. Weigel or Carlos. But that's the way the design bid build process works. And I'd love to answer any other questions. But again, Aaron's more than welcome to sit down with council and show you how it can be done.
Okay, so I'm gonna, because this is kind of, I feel like this is a crux of a little bit of what's going on, and I don't understand it or the intricacies of it. Design, bid, build, or design, build, right? Somebody's got to come to grips with that and really sink their teeth into it, because I do believe there's other options out there besides that concept. And there you go. Kermit, what's your thought?
Well, just my thought is, if it's a gift to the city or gift to the community, it wouldn't go through a design. I mean, if you receive a gift like Tesla Motors put in the parking lot at the little village parking lot, we wouldn't care if they did a bid, because they didn't, they're not, it's not, they may, and they will gift us the parking lot, obviously the asphalt surface and stuff like that, or they maintain it. But the question is, if it was maintained by the skateboard corporation or nonprofit, and it's a gift to the city, why would they need to go through a bid process, the purchase of the city? It may not necessarily, or say city CCSD, may not necessarily have to belong to the CCSD, and you could bypass that requirement. Would that be true, John?
Yeah, my understanding is, I don't know if it would be, if it's fully funded, if that makes a difference, but right now, all I know is that if it's built on CCSD property, we have to follow the state requirements, from building and construction.
And that would be true even of you look at the things you do get, like the Fiscalini Ranch and statues and so forth. They don't necessarily go through a bid process on those, do they?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think those are construction projects that, putting a bench or something like that in there.
John, can I throw another wrench in here? Maybe we could sell the property.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sell it to them.
Yes.
It's a thought. Revenue for the CCSD. Just throwing it out there.
Or don't they do those things where you just transfer title for a while and then I transfer title back?
Yeah, that's.
I've read that. I read you rich people do that crazy stuff all the time. They make laws for rich people doing crazy stuff all the time.
There's another idea though too. I think the CCSD, if they sell something, they have to offer it first
Yeah.
to another government agency.
Carlos, do you have, are you gonna weigh in here? You're afraid to contradict your boss or say, oh, we didn't bid the skate park, or I mean, the dog park. We just came up with 35 grand and built it.
Yeah, I'm afraid to contradict my boss.
All right.
But I understand Julie's concern, obviously, as you know, skate parks are unique, and you have to find the right contractor to be able to build those skate parks, or else, you know, they're one, dangerous or malfunctioning. As far as the dog park and, you know, phase one of the community park, we actually bid that. We ended up actually bidding that twice. We had multiple bids come in, and we awarded the contract to the lowest bidder. But obviously, that's, you know, you're talking about moving
But
dirt.
not the 35 extra $1,000 we spent on the dog park. That wasn't in the original contractor's bid. The money we paid to the guy that did the railing and stuff.
Yeah, the phase one included grading, drainage, parking lot, and the dog park. So the dog park was part of the bidding
All right.
process.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, where are we? Julie, do you want to talk again?
Julie, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Thank you. So, you know, I don't know how we go about doing that. I'm just saying, I think it's worthy of a conversation. Again, there are projects like the one in Oildale that is not a city or a county. So I'm just perplexed. Like, I'm perplexed as to why CCSD is so special that they can't fall into some other type of consideration of design build. And as far as purchasing the property, you know, please know from the very beginning, Shara and I, this is a passion project. We have families, we have jobs, we have a depth of our own investments in businesses in this community. We had no desire to step into forming a nonprofit and you know, running this for many, many, many years as a nonprofit, because we felt that there was fiscal responsibility with CCSD. And so we're trying very hard to bring this information to the table. Construction is not my space. I've said that from day one. But I do feel like there are better ways of doing things. And taking that first answer is not always the correct answer. And I am going to keep bringing this up because I know how special skate parks are in the sense of construction. It is not 2x4s. It is very specific. And there are only a handful of people who can even do this job. And they won't even, and John, you know this because we've discussed this, they won't even give us a bid. If it's not design build, they're not going to even give us a bid, because I've spoken to two of them. And the email we will be getting back is thank you, not interested. So you're hearing a little, you know, of my frustration only because this is a big piece of it. And what concerns me is we're going to get through spending the 14,000, which thank you, we're excited. Let's get that going this week, next week. It shouldn't, I mean, the proposal's been sitting there since the 17th of November. I got it, we had a holiday, but it shouldn't take a month to decide on hiring somebody to do the creative work and potential survey work. So I don't know why that couldn't be done this week. And in the meantime, begin talking with at least council again, John, in regards to looking at this project in Oildale and talking to Aaron and seeing how they did it. I know there's a way to do this.
Yeah, can I say that? That kid that showed up at that skate park was very knowledgeable. He's a smart dude. And I don't know if Carlos has talked to him, and I don't know if talking to the lawyer is the answer, but he seemed to have answers for these questions that we're having. And he's saying, listen, I've done it in the state of California. I did it here and there. And the conversation was beyond me. But I'm telling you, he seemed intelligent. I think it would behoove us to have him talk to somebody to see if he can change their mind. about something I'm not even really sure what I'm talking about, but that's
Okay.
how I'm trying to, disseminate this information. Kermit.
Why can't we bid out design build? Once they've got the concept plan, their part is finished. Why can't we put out design build? I doubt if anybody else will bid on it. You'd have the whole package is all you're bidding out, and there's not very many people who are going to bid on it. And I doubt if anybody else is going to bid on somebody else's design build or proposed concept plan.
So the rule in the state of California, if the overall project is under $1 million, you cannot do a design build project.
Under a million.
Why would that sounds strange, but
Yeah, right. That's like banks giving a cheap loan to rich people and a high loan to poor people. So if it's a little project and it doesn't make a lot of sense, we got to do all this stuff. It's super huge. Just do that. All right.
I have a question. So I guess, John, I guess you would have to make I'll call it the RFP, or request for proposal, meaning that somebody would have to put that together to say what they're going to be doing. So who in our organization then would put that proposal together in order for somebody to bid on it?
Who is that? That's Carlos and me.
You and Carlos. So if you brought in that designer guy as a consultant to bring together whatever the skate park is going to be and make that the proposal, would that work?
Yeah, so we don't have to bid out professional services contracts. So that's why we can hire this designer without bidding out for free and getting bids on it. So we can hire the designer for the restroom and the skate park individually. We don't have to bid that out. Once it comes to construction, we then got to fall back on our purchasing policy, which is we have to go out, get 3 bids, and they have to meet the requirements of working with the federal government, prevailing wages, et cetera.
Okay, so the Spawn Ranch folks, they design and build, or they simply design and then go out and get somebody to build it?
They can build also.
well, could the Friends of the Fiscalia Ranch do it as a nonprofit?
It's not on ranch property, so I don't, it's outside where we're at.
Okay.
If it was on the East Ranch, we could do it.
Well, we could give you that piece of property.
Yeah, I don't think that'll go
wouldn't
over
fit the
super
master
well, but
plan.
if you want me to take it to the board.
You don't want to smite me with that. I don't think so.
Jesus.
Joyce.
I think we're kind of at a stall, at a place where we're not going to make any progress. Maybe we should, I don't know what, but we could just go on and on and on.
Well, we've got 14 grand. We need to design that thing. We need to get on that this week and get going. And then we can grind this thing out over the next 30 days. All right. I see Ms. Tatham wants to say a word.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Kermit, you had a question. I'm not sure where Julie went, but you had a question about Spawn Ranch. You said, can they not design and build? And typically with the skate park designers, what they want to do is design, build. Because they're so specific, they do not want to put their design out there to be bid upon by other contractors. So just to answer your question on that.
I was just thinking of that'd be true also of the concept plan, because once they do my thought is we put out the concept plan and then bid on that, but that was a design build concept after the concept plan. So no, they aren't going to do blueprints. They're just going to do a concept plan that still has to have construction plans if it was going to be bid on. And that's the problem is I don't know how we'd ever get construction plans from an outfit that doesn't want to do anything but design build. So because they're not going to want to submit construction plans to the county, although they sort of will to a certain extent, but not to the degree that you would have on a normal bid process. I think it'd be very hard for us to do a normal bid process on a skate park with the various shapes and forms that we have. I don't see any way, actually, I don't see any way around it because the plans would cost as much as the construction in some ways. So it kind of has to be a design build because of the shapes and forms. It's really complex for a small project. I'm agreeing with you.
Steve, if we really have to have something done in the next, this month or the next few days, weeks, could you and Stan maybe, I'll move that you can do whatever you want in the next week. If Stan was on that ad hoc committee meeting, but if something has to be done, I move that you can make a decision or something like that. Because I can't add anything. I don't think anybody can add anything to this discussion as we speak.
Yeah. John, where are we? Where are you at right now? What are you going to be doing this week for this particular project?
I am.
Or is that a question to Carlos?
Yeah, so we're working with, like I mentioned before, we're working with district council to put a contract together.
Okay. Okay.
So we're at a standstill until that is done, right, John?
Pardon me, one more time?
We're at a standstill until that is accomplished. Is that true?
Well, I don't look at it as a standstill. I mean, that's the next step forward is to,
Okay. All right.
Get a contract, engage with the designer, and then he goes off and we pay him some money. He goes off and does his thing.
Okay, and so what Julie is asserting is that that Spawn Ranch is not going to design it for $14,000. Is that true?
That's correct.
That is correct. Julie, can you comment on that? Do you find that true?
Thank you for unmuting me. That is correct. In other words, these aren't stamped construction documents. This is just creative, chiming in with the community, which is why I'm
but what
being
John
so
is
aggressive
going to put
about
out is
I'm
he's
sorry,
going to
please.
put out an RFP that says we want construction documents. Is that correct, Mr. Weigel?
No, that is not correct,
No.
Steve. I don't, this is just simply survey and creative work. And so that's why I'm pushing so hard on us getting clarity on where we are headed, because it is a very quick next step. And to me, I like to use money responsibly, especially when we're bringing in public funds. And that next step is going to be on us very quick. And by the way, in regards to two things, one, John, I have a question in regards to Sourcewell Guide, because Sourcewell Guide could be used in this process, and you are on the approved list for Sourcewell. So I'd like to look into that. Maybe Carlos or John, you can elaborate on what Sourcewell is for some of those on Pros Commission who may not be aware. That would be one. And then the second is in regards to, us jumping right into needing to know that next step. It also is a fluid conversation with somebody like Aaron, again, who is built for Red Bull, Vans, Disney. I mean, this guy's he's the real deal. And he does specifically California. So he understands California state law. He's also used this grant before. He understands the Prop 68 grant, in which we are looking to potentially use for this project. So again, I'm asking for very careful consideration before you just jump to a vote of design, bid, build. I'll end it there.
So hasn't the big CCSD board already okayed the money to design it?
Well, they okayed the money to do what we're doing. In other words, $17,000 This comes under budget at 14 plus 3,000 for a grant writer. And by the way, to go back just a moment on the question in regards to potential RFPs, if that is the only direction, design, bid, build, John was provided multiple RFP samples that I got from another designer. That would be a very easy pirate of having to write the RFP. I mean, we're doing everything we can in homework to make this as easy as possible. Again, that's not the way we want to go, but I'm saying that they've been handed over sample RFPs. Can we explain Sourcewell Guide?
Yeah, so explain that. Carlos, do you know Sourcewell?
I think I'll leave that up to John.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank right myself.
Well, gentlemen,
Right.
you need to look into it because you've done projects with Sourcewell, and it's basically an open PO in the sense of approval of construction, and projects like the skate park have been done with Sourcewell, and you're already on the list.
That's some money.
Does anybody in our group know what Sourcewell is?
No.
All right, it's more about, what I've been told is, it's a little group in the state of contractors that say, we don't have to do the bid process because we're good. And it's another group of agencies like ourselves that say, we're gonna be in this little group over here, and we can hire them in that group over there if they're on the list. That seems to be what that is. Julie, is that true?
Correct.
It's a cooperative purchasing organization.
Oh, I didn't use the right words. I apologize.
But skate parks have been done with Sourcewell before. And again, CCSD is currently on the list.
Good to know.
Adolph.
Joy, I'm gonna come down on Friday and talk to you.
I would-
So we can carry on further.
Julie, I think Stan can help you get there.
Awesome.
Adolph, what do you got?
No, I was just thinking whether or not the Sourcewell had a limit in terms of amount, or if it was just an open situation where these folks are all qualified and you can just hire them for whatever money you need to spend.
Yeah, I don't know.
And also, I guess if we put a proposal together, I guess somebody has to review all those proposals. Who will do that?
Say that again?
Well, you put it together an RFP and somebody responds to that RFP. So within the organization of the CCSD or pros or whoever, someone has to review all the proposals that are sent in. And supposedly you would select or not select those who have made a bid for the project. And I'm not sure whether or not CCSD follows those kinds of guidelines or not. And also, John, I don't think do you have to actually select the lowest bidder, or can you select the best project designer and builder?
Yeah, we have some liberties there, you know, local builders, for example, local business owners, we have a preference built into our purchasing policy to use local first. You know, I have to dig in more to understand as it comes to final selection, but I think there's some liberty there, some room to you know, choose the right contractor.
That sounds almost like Sourcewell, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, this
So I guess
Spawn Ranch, who is the designer, is a member of this.
Okay. All right. So there's an avenue that we can obviously speed things up by going in those directions.
Okay, we need to move on. I have to work tonight. Okay, so Stan, you and Joyce are going to help us get through that. I don't like not truly understanding where we are with something, and
Okay.
I trust you. Thank you. All right, on to the restroom. Carlos, get us there on the restroom. We got 20 grand. We need to start designing that.
We're moving forward.
Do you have
So,
anything to report?
so yeah, just a couple of things. So obviously we're all aware that we received a grant from the county, beautification grant, $20,000. Two commissioners were appointed to help through the process. Kermit and Jim, and I've engaged them. I've sent them a couple of emails. One, a couple of weeks back, just letting them know that I was working on updating the contract with Civil Design Studios. The original contract that they provided to us that we submitted with the county was not a complete proposal, and it wasn't going to meet the requirements of the grant. So I went back to Civil Design Studios. I shared with Monty the grant and the language that the grant had, and I wanted to make sure that he understood what outcome we wanted once the work was performed. We've had several emails and a phone conversation to make sure that we both understood, or that he understood what the grant was all about. He submitted a revised proposal to us, which I have forwarded to both Kermit and Jim and our finance manager and general manager Weigold. We are now in the process of getting that proposal through legal counsel and getting a final thing going with them. So we're looking to get started here very shortly on this. It's going to be a little bit of a process of trying to figure out design for the restroom. We have issues with or questions about water, about sewer, about lights, about ADA compliance and all that stuff. But Monty is well aware of those issues, and he's going to get us through that. So I'm confident with it, that he's going to get us a good result after he's all done. A couple of things is that we have a time frame for this grant. So we have signed a contract with the county, and we have basically told the county that we will come up with a final product for them. And our grant ends June 30th of this coming year. So we have about 7 months to fulfill our agreement. After June 30th, we have 3 months to submit a final document to the county for them for the grant. So on our end, the time is clicking on us, but you know, I think we'll be okay. I think Monty's going to get us there.
All right, I want to thank Carlos for staying on top of that, because I think it's bad to take money and then not use it for what it is that you said you were going to use it for. So I'm glad he's getting us down that road. And once again, remember, that's just the design of the bathroom. So when we're done with this, we should be able to say, hey, this is what we're going with right here. And that's the product that they're looking for. Is that correct, Carlos?
That is correct.
Okay. And so there you go. We don't really need any other discussion on that. Is that correct?
Not at this point. As soon as the contract is executed with Civil Design Studios, which I'm assuming it's going to be within the next 2 weeks, we will begin work, and we'll, you know, like I said, I'll engage Kermit and Jim, and we'll go through the EIR and work with Monty on trying to get something. Hopefully in January, Kermit or Jim can have an update, and I don't have to update you on anything since they're the commissioners that have been appointed to this.
Yeah, awesome. Osana, maybe we can get an ad hoc section put onto the agenda, since we have the ad hoc bathroom and the ad hoc skate park. Thank you. Okay, great. Kermit, you and Jim are on that. I appreciate it. All right, that takes us into the discussion regarding parks, recreation, open space projects, priorities, and costs. I had this put on there because when we gave our priorities to the CCSD board, we had them in order as the bathroom and then the skate park. And there seems to be some disagreement as to what our priorities are. And my feeling is that the skate park is our largest priority over the bathroom. And I don't know if they were put on in that order, in order of importance, or if they just got written down that way. But my personal feeling is that the skate park should be the #1 priority of the pros commission. Any comment from
agree.
anybody else?
When it
Second.
was written down, we really hadn't discussed much of anything about either one. So I think they just accidentally got put in that order or whatever.
That's correct.
Yeah, okay, then I'm just gonna make note of it that our #1 is the skate park first.
Right.
Somebody
Okay.
want to
Yeah.
make that motion?
I make the motion that skate park be awarded the first priority because they have more signatures on the petition and the Friends of the Bathroom don't have any.
I'll second that.
Please record that motion as so. Adolph is second. Any other, all in favor, say aye.
All right.
All right, unanimous. Okay. Anything other than that? Any future agenda items?
I think we have enough.
Yeah, sorry the meeting went so long, but listen, we're doing stuff. We complained for so many years we weren't doing anything, and now we are, and it takes some time. So I appreciate everybody's time and efforts. Right on, Carlos and John, thank you. Osana, Haley, thank you guys for hanging out. And to the public, thanks for hanging out with us. Appreciate it. We're adjourned.
I think Julie's got her hand up.
Oh, Julie,
Steve,
go ahead.
I'm not sure if she wants to comment.
Thank you so much. I just really want to say how much we appreciate all of you working with us together on this project. Your time and input is greatly, greatly appreciated by all of us. And for Stan and Kermit and Joyce, if you'd be so kind, if it's all right, I'm going to reach out to you via email. I think it would be worth having a Zoom call with Aaron Spawn at Spawn Ranch. How do you guys feel about that?
I
That's
think it'd be
fine.
great. Yeah.
That way, I can only do what I can in relaying the information, but that way it can come from him firsthand and you
think that
can
would
be
be-
better informed.
I think that would be quite wonderful.
Awesome. I will email you all today and see what might work for your schedules early part of next week.
Thank you, Julie.
My
Steve,
pleasure.
you have one more agenda item, which is future agenda items, number 7.
Yes. Anybody got anything to say for that?
What was it?
No, yeah, we don't have, we've got plenty of agenda items now.
Well, just don't let it be lost that we might want to have a 501c3 discussion next year.
No, I'm with that, but somebody else has got to do that. That's a great idea, but I can't have that on my plate. I'll play in that game, but we need some big, strong person to take charge of that, Kitty.
I'll look into it.
Jim, yeah.
I would like to add an agenda item,
Correct.
and that would be the right of way for the Piney Way.
Yeah, do you have anything more on that lately?
I talked a little bit with Kermit about this yesterday. I did a little walk there, and apparently there's a rumor that the landowner at the bottom is going to build a retaining wall, which would make it impossible for a fire truck to use that. Fire truck doesn't need an easement because an emergency is an emergency. If the land is altered so that it closes off that road, I think we should take a look at, just look at it. That's all.
Yeah, no, it's kind of been on our radar.
Let's put it on next month's agenda.
All right, let's put that back on the agenda. Osana, let's get on that. That's the Piney Way access. Yeah. Okay, awesome. Let's go on for our day. Thank you.